Hi guys, good morning. Sorry this is coming to you a little bit late today. Me and Tally decided to go out and forage one last time. I don't think we're going to go out for a while, so we stocked up on some stuff here, and it took a little bit longer than I thought. But we'll go ahead and get started, so apologies for that. Just a reminder before we get going that your first quiz is going to be tomorrow, so just kind of keep that. It'll be really easy, probably just 10 to 15-ish questions, all multiple choice. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel with it. So be on the lookout for that. You'll also turn in your journal assignment as well. Where we last left off, we had that little conversation with Montag and his wife. Nothing really came of that. She just kind of denied everything, or she just straight up didn't remember. Kind of ambiguous there. This portion is going to begin with Montag talking to Clarice outside again, and that's going to be the focus of your day. So just kind of be thinking of how she sort of contrasts with everyone else in society, and we'll go ahead and get started. The rain was thinning away, and the girl was walking in the center of the sidewalk with her head up and the few drops falling on her face. She smiled when she saw Montag. "Hello." He said hello and then said, "What are you up to now?" "I'm still crazy. The rain feels good. I love to walk in it." "I don't think I'd like that," he said. "You might if you tried." "I never have." She licked her lips. "Rain even tastes good." "What do you do, go around trying everything once?" he asked. "Sometimes twice." She looked at something in her hand. "What have you got there?" he said. "I guess it's the last of the dandelions this year. I didn't think I'd find one on the lawn this late. Have you ever heard of rubbing it under your chin? Look." She touched her chin with the flower, laughing. "Why?" "If it rubs off, it means I'm in love." "Has it?" He could hardly do anything else but look. "Well," she said, "you're yellow under there." I feel like this conversation's like weirdly flirty. I don't know, which is weird because there's such an age gap between the two of them. He's 30 and I think she's definitely under 18, but fine, let's try you now. It won't work for me. Here. Before he could move, she had put the dandelion under his chin. He drew back and she laughed. "Hold still." She peered under his chin and frowned. "Well," he said. "What a shame," she said. "You're not in love with anyone." "Yes, I am." "It doesn't show." "I am very much in love." He tried to conjure up a face to fit the words, but there was no face. "I am." He's not. "Oh, please don't look that way." "It's that dandelion," he said. "You used it all up on yourself. That's why it won't work for me." "Of course, that must be it. Oh, now I've upset you. I can see I have. I'm sorry, I really am." She touched his elbow. "No, no," he said quickly. "I'm all right. I've got to get going, so say you forgive me. I don't want you to be angry with me." "I'm not angry. Upset, yes." "I've got to go see my psychiatrist now. They make me go. I make up things to say. I don't know what he thinks of me. He says I'm a regular onion. I keep him busy peeling away the layers." "I'm inclined to believe you need the psychiatrist," said Montag. "You don't mean that." He took a breath and let it out and at last said, "No, I don't mean that. The psychiatrist wants to know why I go out and hike around in the forests and watch the birds and collect butterflies. I'll show you my collection someday." "Good." "They want to know what I do with all my time. I tell them that sometimes I just sit and think, but I won't tell them what. I've got them running, and sometimes I tell them I like to put my head back like this and let the rain fall in my mouth. It tastes just like wine. Have you ever tried it?" "No, I—" "You have forgiven me, haven't you?" "Yes." He thought about it. "Yes, I have. God knows why. You're peculiar, you're aggravating, and you're easy to forgive. You say you're 17? Well, next month. How odd, how strange. And my wife 30, and yet you seem so much older. I can't get over it." "You're peculiar yourself, Mr. Montag. Sometimes I even forget you're a fireman. Now may I make you angry again?" "Go ahead." "How did it start? How did you get into it? How did you pick your work, and how did you happen to think to take the job you have? You're not like the others. I've seen a few. I know. When I talk, you look at me. When I said something about the moon, you looked at the moon last night. The others would never do that. The others would walk off and leave me talking or threaten me. No one has time anymore for anyone else. You're one of the few who put up with me. That's why I think it's so strange you're a fireman. It just doesn't seem right for you somehow." He felt his body divide itself into a hotness and a coldness, a softness and a hardness, a trembling and a not trembling, the two halves grinding one upon the other. "You'd better run off to your appointment," he said. And she ran off and left him standing there in the rain. Only after a long time did he move. And then very slowly as he walked, he tilted his head back in the rain, and for just a few moments, and opened his mouth. All right, now I was going to talk about this mechanical hound. It's like this machine thing that they send out on the streets to like patrol and potentially kill people that are criminals and stuff. So he's going to describe it here in a minute. The mechanical hound slept but did not sleep, lived but did not live in a gently humming, gently vibrating, softly illuminating kennel back in the dark corner of the firehouse. The dim light of 1 in the morning, the moonlight from the open sky framed through the great window, touched here and there on the brass and the copper and the steel of the faintly trembling beast. Lights flickered on bits of ruby glass and on sensitive capillary hairs and the nylon-brushed nostrils of the creature that quivered gently, gently, its 8 legs spidered in it under on rubber-padded paws. Montag slid down the brass pole. He went out to look at the city, and the clouds had cleared away completely, and he lit a cigarette and came back to bend down and look at the hound. It was like a great bee come home from some field where the honey is full of poison wildness, of insanity and of nightmare, its body crammed with that over-rich nectar, and now it was sleeping the evil out of itself. "Hello," whispered Montag, fascinated as always with the dead beast, the living beast. Nights when things got dull, which was every night, the men slid down the brass poles and set the ticking combinations of the olfactory system of the hound, and let loose rats in the firehouse areaway, and sometimes chickens, sometimes cats that would have had to be drowned anyway. I don't like that. And there would be betting to see which of the cats or chickens or rats the hound would seize first. The animals were turned loose. 3 seconds later the game was done, the rat, cat, or chicken caught half across the areaway, gripped in gently paws, while a 4-inch hollow steel needle plunged down from the proboscis of the hound to inject massive jolts of morphine or procaine. The pawn was then tossed in the incinerator. The new game began. Montag stayed upstairs most nights when this went on. There had been a time 2 years ago when he had made a bet with the best of them and lost a week's salary and faced Mildred's insane anger. Justified anger, I think, which showed itself in veins and blotches. But nights he lay in his bunk, face turned to the wall, listening to the whoops of laughter below, and the piano string scurry of rat feet, the violin squeaking of mice, and the great shadowing, motion silence of the hound, leaping out like a moth in the raw light, finding, holding its victim, inserting needle, and going back to its kennel to die, as if a switch had been turned. Montag touched the muzzle. The hound growled. Montag jumped back. The hound half rose in its kennel and looked at him with green-blue neon light flickering in its suddenly activated eye bulbs. It growled again, a strange, rasping combination of electric sizzle, a frying sound, a scraping of metal, a turning of cogs that seemed rusty and ancient with suspicion. "Oh no, boy," said Montag, his heart pounding. He saw the silver needle extend upon the air in an inch, pull back, extend, pull back. The growl simmered in the beast, and it looked at him. Montag backed up. The hound took a step from its kennel. Montag grabbed the brass pole with one hand. The pole, reacting, slid upward and took him through the ceiling quietly. He stepped off from the half-lit deck of the upper level. He was trembling and his face was green-white. Below, the hound had sunk back down upon its 8 incredible insect legs and was humming to itself again, its multifaceted eyes at peace. Montag stood letting the fears pass by the drop hole. Behind him 4 men at a card table under green-lidded lights in the corner glanced briefly but said nothing. Only the man with the captain's hat and the sign of the phoenix on his hat, at last curious, his playing cards in his thin hand, walked across the long room. "Montag?" "It doesn't like me," said Montag. "What, the hound?" The captain studied his cards. "Come off it. It doesn't like or dislike. It just functions. It's like a lesson in ballistics. It has a trajectory we decide on for it. It follows through, it targets itself, homes itself, and cuts off. It's only copper wire, storage batteries, and electricity. Montag swallowed. Its calculators can be set to any combination. So many amino acids, so much sulfur, so much butter, fat, and alkaline, right? We know all that. All those chemical balances and percentages on all of us here in the house are recorded in the master file downstairs. It would be easy for someone to set up a particular combination on the hound's memory. A touch of amino acids, perhaps. That would account for why the animal just did now, reacted toward me. Hell, said the captain. Because honestly, it's kind of a little bit of a leap, right? That somebody programmed the hound to hate Montag. Irritated, but not completely angry. Just enough memory set up in it by someone so it growled when I touched it. Who would do a thing like that? Said the captain. You haven't any enemies here, Guy. None that I know of. We'll have the hound checked by our technicians tomorrow. This isn't the first time it's threatened me, said Montag. Last month it happened twice. We'll fix it up, don't worry. But Montag did not move and only stood thinking of the ventilator grill in the hall at home and what lay hidden beneath the grill. If someone here in the firehouse knew about the ventilator, then they mightn't tell the hound. The captain came down the drop hole and gave Montag a questioning glance. I was just figuring, said Montag. What does the hound think about down there nights? Is it coming alive on us, really? It makes me cold. It doesn't think anything. We don't want it to think. That's sad, said Montag quietly, because all we put it into is hunting and finding and killing. What a shame is it that that's all it ever knows. Beatty snored gently. Hell, it's a fine bit of craftsmanship, a good rifle that can fetch its own target and guarantees the bullseye every time. That's why, said Montag. I wouldn't want to be its next victim. Why, you got a guilty conscience about something? Montag glanced up swiftly. Beatty stood there looking at him steadily with his eyes, while his mouth opened and began to laugh, very softly. All right, perhaps just a little foreshadowing right there. What do you think? All right, last few pages here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and as many times he came out of the house and Clarice was there somewhere in the world. Once he saw her shaking a walnut tree. Once he saw her sitting on the lawn knitting a blue sweater. 3 or 4 times he's found a banquet of late flowers on his porch. Or a handful of chestnuts in a little sack. Or some autumn leaves neatly pinned to a sheet of white paper and thumbtacked to his door. Every day Clarice walked him to the corner. One day it was raining, the next day it was clear. The day after that the wind blew strong. And the day after that it was mild and calm. And the day after that calm day was a day like the furnace of summer, and Clarice with her face all sunburnt by the late afternoon. Why is it, he said, one time at the subway entrance, I feel I've known you so many years. Because I like you, she said, and I don't want anything from you, and because we know each other. You make me feel very old and very much like a father. Now you explain, she said, why you haven't any daughters like me if you love children so much. I don't know. You're joking. I mean, he stopped and shook his head. Well, my wife, she just never wanted any children at all. The girl stopped smiling. I'm sorry. I really thought you were having fun at my expense. I'm a fool. No, no, he said. It was a good question. It's been a long time since anyone cared enough to ask. A good question. Well, let's talk about something else. Have you ever smelled old leaves? Don't they smell like cinnamon? Here, smell. They definitely don't smell like cinnamon. Why, yes, it is like cinnamon in a way. She looked at him with her clear, dark eyes. You always seem shocked. It's just I haven't had time. Did you look at the stretched out billboards like I told you? I think so, yes. He had to laugh. Your laugh sounds much nicer than it did. Does it? Much more relaxed. He felt at ease and comfortable. Why aren't you in school? I see you every day wandering around. Oh, they don't miss me, she said. I'm antisocial, they say. I don't mix. It's so strange. I'm very social indeed. It all depends on what you mean by social, doesn't it? Social to me means talking to you about things like this. She rattled off some chestnuts that had fallen on the tree in the front yard. Or talking about how strange the world is. Being with people is nice. I don't think it's social to get a bunch of people together and then not let them talk, do you? An hour of TV class, an hour of basketball or baseball or running, another hour of transcription history or painting pictures, and more sports. But do you know we never ask questions? Or at least most don't. They just run the answers at you, bing, 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 and us there for 4 more hours of film teacher. It's not social to me at all. It's a lot of funnels and a lot of water poured down the spout and out of the bottom, and them telling us it's wine when it's not. They run us so ragged by the end of the day we can't do anything but go to bed or head for a fun park to bully people around, break window panes in the window smasher place, or wreck cars in the car wrecker place with the big steel ball, or go out in the cars and race on the streets trying to see how close you can get to the lampposts, playing chicken and knock hubcaps. I guess I'm everything they say I am, all right. I haven't any friends. That's supposed to prove I'm abnormal, but everyone I know is either shouting or dancing around like wild or beating up one another. Do you notice how people hurt each other nowadays? By the way, something I feel like is definitely gonna happen someday when she talks about like film teacher, like I guess like in their school, you pretty much just sit in front of a screen. It's just like one teacher teaching everything. I'm always kind of paranoid that's gonna happen, where they're just gonna replace teachers with some kind of like film version because they could just do it so much cheaper that way. Hopefully not. Sometimes I'm ancient. But you sound so very old. Sometimes I'm ancient. I'm afraid of children my own age. They kill each other. Did it always used to be that way? My uncle says no. 6 of my friends have been shot in the last year alone. 10 of them died in car wrecks. I'm afraid of them, and they don't like me because I'm afraid. My uncle says his grandfather remembered when children didn't kill each other. That was a long time ago when they had things different. They believed in responsibility, my uncle says. Do you know I'm responsible? I was spanked when I needed it years ago, and I do all the shopping and house cleaning by hand. Do kids bully and kill each other in a way today? Does that kind of come true? Most of all, she said, I like to watch people. Sometimes I ride the subway all day and look at them and listen to them. I sort of figure out who they are and what they want and where they're going. Sometimes I even go to the fun park, ride in their jet cars when they race on the edge of town at midnight. And the police don't care as long as they're insured. As long as everyone has 10,000 insurance, everyone's happy. Sometimes they stick around and listen in subways or listen to soda fountains. You know what? What? People don't talk about anything. Oh, they must. No, not anything. They name a lot of cars or clothes or swimming pools, mostly, and say, how swell. But they all say the same things, and nobody says anything different from anyone else. And most of the time in the cafes, they have the joke boxes on, and the same jokes most of the time, or the musical wall lit, and all the colored patterns running up and down. But it's only color and all abstract. And at the museums, have you ever been? All abstract. That's all there is now. My uncle says it was different once. A long time back, sometimes pictures said things or even showed people. Your uncle said, your uncle said. Your uncle must be a remarkable man. He is. He certainly is. Well, I gotta get going. Goodbye, Mr. Montag. Goodbye. Goodbye. And goodbye. So as you're reading for today, it is such a nasty day out. I'd love to tell you guys to get outside and get some fresh air, but it's raining, and unfortunately, it's like been raining all week. Honestly, I think it's kind of made this a little bit worse. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little stir crazy. I don't know about you guys, but I needed to get out. So stay safe and quiz tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. Take it easy.